morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, April 11th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread. First card we are starting our day off with today is, 8 of Pentacles in its reversal. You know, how you can tell it's a Mercury retrograde? We started yesterday with the 9. And now we're starting today with the 8. So you can see what's happening. We've got here our 8 of Pentacles in its reversal. Listen, more of this energy of feeling, again, if you're feeling things slowing down, yeah, it's going to feel like a little bit of a slowdown right now. We're coming out of this eclipse cycle. That was a lot of intense energy that was happening. So that ability of feeling that, like, I want to describe it as a bit of an energetic come down, if you will, that's going to be a little bit par for the course right now. You know, it's just going to be kind of the way it is, as it were. And a lot of it is potentially feeling further amplified by the fact that we're in this Mercury retrograde period. So it's like, you know, it's like the slowdown, that come down with the pullback, right? So it feels a little bit like that, like reverse. It's like the slingshot getting pulled back a little bit. But for masculine and feminine energy and the divine union frequency, again, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. That ability to recognize this is even now, this is feeling like it's having that ability to energetically serve a purpose. What did we explain was happening right now for a lot of the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency? That moment of observation in terms of what was not energetically working. This is, again, the energy in the divine union frequency. If there was an intensification point that happened over the last few days or even the last couple of weeks, this is not the type of energy that is willing to turn a blind eye to something that felt like it was something small, that felt for a moment that it was much bigger, because that was almost feeling like that moment of energetic revelation in a way. Something that you see that you don't want to just ignore, because you also saw evidence of what something might feel like or be experienced with if it amplified to a certain degree. So we see even now that some of that energy, that is allowing that point of energetic concentration. It's helping to recognize and identify and articulate where you need to put the energetic effort. And the only way to figure out where to put the energetic effort is to pay a lot of attention to what's not working, right? So this is that moment that is allowing, even in a moment of difficulty, a moment of empowerment. It's a moment of productivity. It's a moment of energetic insight, because that's the ability of looking at something and saying, well, this is clearly something that is observably requiring a little bit of energetic effort here. Masculine and feminine in the heart of the divine union frequency, potentially doing a lot of unpacking in relationality to what that is. And I told you a lot of that may have to do right now with that moment of identifying the difference between something that you are currently experiencing, something that feels like an energetic change, versus something that you may have been carrying with you, have always felt, even prior to entering the divine union frequency, because that is the difference in terms of recognizing where this work needs to happen, whether it needs to happen on the internal aspect of the self, if this is something that you've always felt, and the divine union frequency like brought it out, you know, in a way, like that's that moment of recognizing the internal work that needs to be had to a certain capacity. Or if this is something that feels like it is new, feels like something that you haven't felt before, that's that moment that may speak more to something that can be externally changed around you or situationally changed to allow for that breakthrough point. Because as we saw, this is the energy in the divine union that is affirming to themselves that need or desire to feel like they're moving between manifestation goal and manifestation goal in a space of energetic harmony. You can't live a life saying, well, I'll feel happy once I have that manifestation goal. I won't be miserable once I come into this. That moment of recognizing the difference between feeling low and saying, well, when I reach a manifestation goal, I'll be high again, versus finding that space that allows you to feel that energetic contentment in the spaces in between. That is a lot of the energetic concentration that we're seeing right now. For a lot of that energy to be able to recognize and identify, how can we create that sense of energetic harmony now? How can we embody that feeling that we're aspiring and desiring to reach in the manifestation goal right here? Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. This is a lot of the observation in wanting to move anything out of the way that is standing in the way of the energetic connection, because we saw that a lot of the energy coming into the divine union frequency right now, a lot of breakthroughs are leading to the melding of two worlds, being ready to abandon and let go of some past version of self to be able to blend one's life with another. What we love about the energy coming into the divine union frequency right now, these are energies that are very eager to do so. When energy is very eager to do so, the problematic hurdle feels like everything outside or surrounding the energy trying to move forward into greater alignment. So a lot of this may be a lot of care and concentration on what, as I mentioned, the same as the energy in the divine union. What's standing in the way of making you bring forth your manifestation goal? But that's that manifestation goal that feels like it's more energetically achievable in the short term, because that has to do with potential plans, accommodations, adjustments, etc. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is that moment. If there's a point at the moment right now that you're feeling energetically discontent, this is a lot of the energy in separation, working to embody the feeling that one may aspire and desire to have when in partnership. This is a lot of the energy that is remembering and navigating that moment, not wanting to come into a space of feeling like they energetically need partnership in order to facilitate thriving. This is energy that's saying, if I'm in a state or space where I feel like I need a partnership to be able to feel operational, this is both masculine and feminine energy that is recognizing that that would be a moment of identifying self-work that is needed, right? Because that's that moment that is speaking more about trying to come into partnership from a lack mentality, saying I'm missing something that I need someone else to fill, versus feeling that ability of wanting to bring abundance forth to someone, wanting to grow or expand upon what you already energetically have. And that doesn't need to be in a materialistic way, but it has to be in almost like an energetic way, being able to share what you're energetically feeling. If you're not in a place of happiness and you try to come into partnership, all you're going to feel like you're energetically sharing is your own energetic sadness. So that's why we see even now there may be a lot of that energy in separation, doing this internal assessment to identify and recognize what feels like it's not working energetically internally, to be able to facilitate that feeling of energetic harmony, even if not in partnership cycles. And what we love about this right now is, again, taking some of that energetic heaviness in separation and using it to put one's finger on what one needs to accommodate and adjust for, to allow that state or space of coming into balance, even if in separation. And this could even be, especially with some of this beautiful energy that we're starting, I feel like there's a little bit of this like calmness that's coming right now with this like eclipse come down with the Mercury retrograde, and it's coming through, that's almost allowing a bit of this like observation of self, like being able to externalize it to a certain extent and look at something much more objectively than you may felt like you may have personally been able to prior to this time. It may be like that moment of being able to look at the self without feeling that sense of anxiety, which we appreciate and like. Second card in our 5-card spread is, see that? There's that conflict energy here. And we're not surprised to see this as well, because this is that moment even now for the energy in separation, that feeling of energetically wrestling something. But what we appreciate right now is this is a moment that is either going to feel like something that you are navigating that is internal or external. So for the energy in separation, this is either looking right now. This is a lot of self-review for all energies in separation, potentially having that moment of looking back on the past, or even feeling how you are right now, experiencing something. Again, identifying the difference between something that you are experiencing in a place versus something that you've been energetically carrying with you, to help recognize and identify what is something that you need to work on within the self versus something that is external around you that needs to be adjusted or accommodated for to make you feel like you're coming into energetic balance. Why is this happening right now? Because we're seeing that a lot of the feminine energy right now, specifically, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, is finding that energetic balance point in separation. So what happens if suddenly you're coming into energetic balance in separation? That's the observation, that if you weren't feeling in balance in a partnership scenario, that's because something about the partnership was provoking the energetic imbalance, right? It's almost punctuating the point on what you had to energetically move away from to be able to recognize what the issue was. However, for feminine energy that may be going through that moment of feeling some kind of energetic discontentment in this moment, this is that moment of potentially unpacking and looking at something to say, why is something still coming through with me? What is this that I'm still energetically feeling? Because that's, again, the difference between recognizing something that needs to externally change around you, right? Versus what needs to be worked on from within. Same exact message and work that we see that the energy in the heart of the divine union is doing. Masculine and feminine energy. Masculine energy in separation. This is a lot of that energetic unpacking right now, but this has to do potentially with coming into a space. Remember, what are the challenging points that we're seeing that the masculine in separation is having? The ability to speak forth your manifestation goal, your ability to share your energetic dream with the feminine. And what is the masculine trying to do right now in separation? I told you, you got those two pieces and you're trying to go like this. And you're like, why don't they want to stick together? Because this is either the masculine energy working on that state or space of trying to identify what that path and purpose is, what direction you want to take this energetic lesson or breakthrough that you've been having, whether that leads to healing something from the past or going forward into the present. Or this is masculine energy that has full intentionality and understanding on where they want to put that dream, but they're feeling the fear and the anxiety in being able to do so. And that's because that's masculine energy. You're potentially wrestling with the amount of energetic intensity it takes to be able to come into the heart of intimacy, to be able to be truly open and honest to feminine, but not just be open and honest about things that don't matter, but to be open and honest about what you truly dream about, what that true idea is, what that dream that you want to share with feminine is. It feels very, very vulnerable. It's making you kind of come to the heart of something. But that's that moment that, again, may even feel like this is masculine energy, battling the energetic ego within that feels like it may be blocking your own energetic blessing and being able to give forth on something because of the resistant point of wanting to energetically protect yourself from something that you're even saying, like, why, what is that protecting from? The ego is going, we have to, like, what does the ego do? The ego does, we have to protect. We have to protect. And the self goes, what are you protecting from? And the ego goes, we have to protect. We have to protect. And we go, and that's what we may see that a lot of the masculine energy may be navigating, being like, what is that? What are you doing? Because that is fighting. That is that battle with the internal self that pushes against that heart of intimacy. Third card, masculine and feminine energy that's coming into divine union. This is a lot more of a breakthrough point because you've already found that. They've already conquered. The energy that's coming into divine union has already conquered the egoic journey of pushing past that, is working together on building that dream, right? They were able to come into that pathwork of revealing intimacy to one another. And now that's that moment that feels like everything around you is the external hurdle because you feel like you're energetically doing it together. So that's why even now in that moment that may feel like it's energetically frustrating, it is also creating this sense of energetic fire because it's that moment of feeling like you're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it with the counterpart energy. Masculine and feminine energy at the heart of the divine union. This is exactly the same energetic unpacking that we see that the energy in separation is doing. It's the same work. Because this is the energy, again, if there was some kind of trouble in paradise, as it were, that may have occurred during that eclipse cycle, that ability to investigate something and to see something to a certain extent and to ask oneself, is it existing externally without? Is it something that can be accommodated for and changed via the work with the counterpart energy versus something that I have identified within the self that needs to be facilitated and worked on within, something I carried forth with me even when I first entered the divine union frequency. This is helping to navigate the pathwork on what the energetic problem is. This is like the detective work. This is like the Sherlock Holmes being like, where's the energetic culprit, as it were? Because that's that moment of trying to facilitate and figure out how to navigate forward on a problem that feels like it was some kind of energetic disruption. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. third card in our 5-card spread for today, we've got here 10 of Swords. It's giving a lot of clue today. It's giving a lot of but here's the thing. This is what's so important though, because this is that moment that leads to a lot of energetic breakthrough, right? This is that moment that feels like that amplification point in relationality to wanting to address a problem so that you can nip it in the bud, right? Masculine and feminine energy that is in the divine union frequency, as we identified, one of the things that we saw that was occurring over the last few days was that amplification point, that intensity, that an energetic intensity that potentially rose up, took something small, made it big for a minute, and then it went back down again. So what is the energy at the heart of the divine union frequency doing? Is it ignoring that? Is it saying, well, we'll just pretend that never happened? Absolutely not. This is the work or the energy saying, no, there was something there. We need to observe it. We need to investigate it. We need to address it, because we just saw evidence of what it would look like if something expanded, if that small problem became a big problem. And that's the blessing of something akin to finding or feeling something that may have been triggering during the retrograde cycle, because that is that moment that helps you kind of put your finger on where you need to put your time, effort, energy, and attention in repairing to be able to, again, resolve an issue before it energetically begins. That is the gift that the retrograde period in combination with this eclipse is giving us. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union frequency right now. This is that moment that feels more like, I told you, that energetic expansion point led to a lot of energy coming, just moving deeply into the heart of the divine union frequency. It just knocked a bunch of energy into it. And even now we see that a lot of that energy may feel like, I told you, a lot of that energy kind of like may have just like took a leap of faith during that eclipse cycle, like just led with the heart space. And what's funny about some of this energy now is the fact that it may feel like, well, we're all in, like there's no going back, like, because it's almost that energetic equivalent. And that's how closure happens. It's like when you take a step forward, you burn a bridge behind, right? So it's almost that moment, even now, that some of that energy is feeling that, like they're feeling like the hangover of making some kind of leap of faith commitment. It doesn't say that energy is in a state or space of energetically regretting something. We're seeing here that even now it's that moment that like one's conviction is feeling like it's coming to root. But it's almost that moment that's also like that feeling of like the reality of circumstances and situations come to bear, because that's that understanding that when we move forward, like you really can't move backwards. So we see even now that some of that energy may be effectively energetically contending with some of that right now, right? It's like the after the wedding kind of vibe, like the veil is off. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is one of these things that we're seeing in separation that effectively or energetically right now we're identifying is coming through in a state or space of, and I have to say this, there's a lot of energy right now in separation that's coming through some kind of energetic processes of like deep closure, deep energetic closure, some kind of deep energetic closure coming to bear around circumstances or situations. Because what is energetically happening right now? I'll just point this out. What is energetically happening right now? Specifically and particularly if there is feminine energy right now that is in separation, and you are finding a point or space where you are feeling more energetically balanced, having left a situation or scenario. What is the breakthrough point of understanding that feminine energy is having left a situation and suddenly coming back into energetic balance? That is that moment of feminine energy experiencing and understanding that the further they get away from something, the better they energetically feel. That is feminine energy in separation that has almost found the energetic culprit to what the energetic problem was. And that was potentially recognizing and identifying that there was some kind of connection point that they were in that was moving them off of their own path and purpose. And that's why we see even now feminine energy feeling that point of, again, it feels very difficult when one understands that, because again, this is feminine energy that wishes this. I got to stress this. This is almost feminine energy wishing that they were the source of an energetic problem, because being the source of an energetic problem means that you have the keys within you to find an energetic solution. A lot of the feminine energy is recognizing and identifying that in a way, and this is why this is a little bit of an egoic death for the feminine, recognizing this, their own tenacity in wanting to put themselves in the position of being the energetic problem is because feminine understands and recognizes that being the energetic problem is energetically empowering, because it means that you can figure out what you need to change within the self to facilitate a breakthrough point. So a lot of that energy of feminine coming into an egoic death right now is the recognition point of understanding the difference between what lies within their purview to control versus what is out of their own energetic hands. That is that moment of saying and recognizing that, again, the feminine energy's own ability to try to energetically fix something to the point of bringing themselves into energetic instability. That is the feminine energy coming through a deep process of energetic clearing and healing, because that is the feminine energy saying, I need to rid myself. I need to remove that version of self that feels like if something is going wrong, if I push against it hard enough, if I figure out something about my own self to change, I can fix it. Because that's the feminine energy saying, that's me choosing to stay in something at the cost of my own self. For masculine energy, and that's even now that feminine energy going through that process due to the fact that there's a situation or circumstance where they're feeling that inclination. They're seeing masculine in that midway point, and they're feeling that inclination to energetically do so. Masculine energy in separation. This is also you going through a little bit of this egoic death right now, that heavy journey, because what we're effectively seeing right now for the masculine, there's a moment right now that you may be feeling that moment of energetic resistance, observing and acknowledging spaces and places where either you weren't able to lead forward to feminine, truly express, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, being able to truly express what your energetic dream was. If that was something that you were doing, and again, if that was something that you were doing out of choice, you're recognizing and realizing that all you may have done was effectively deny yourself the ability of seeing if the feminine would join you on the true, authentic journey of following that dream. Or if this is a moment that you recognize and realize that fear was the limitation factor, identifying and recognizing the fear within, that is now the masculine almost building a new journey for themselves, saying, I need to override and conquer my fear, because if fear is the thing that's blocking me from being able to tell my dream to the feminine, then that's the masculine in a way feeling very empowered, because this is almost masculine being like, I'm gonna punch my fear. I'm gonna win in the intimacy game. I'm gonna be the most intimate person. This is masculine going on the healing journey, being like, I am going to deck the energetic ego. I'm gonna just deck my own ego so that I don't have to have that happen again. This is almost masculine energy and separation, trying to bring in that energetic egoic death, because that's the energy of the masculine being like, I found the culprit, it's you, pointing to the self, if you will. So again, masculine, just recognize and identify if you're going through this process. Hold some space of grace, hold some space of kindness and empathy for one's own self, because that part of self is also there to try to energetically protect you. Again, it's got a purpose, okay? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Masculine and feminine energy. That is, moving on to the fourth card here. May I please have the fourth card? Yeah. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today. Thank goodness. Oh my gosh. I know, listen, we've got a lot. I know that a lot of these cards, these are good. I told you, this is heavy homework right now. It's heavy, but it's very, very productive. It's very, very productive energy that we're seeing here, because what we're seeing now, if this card looks familiar, it's because it's a card that we started our day off with yesterday. We've got our 9 of Swords here, but fortunately, it is now in a reversal. Because what happens when you don't run from an energetic problem? What happens when you face an energetic problem? You find a solution. That's all to it. And what we appreciate right now for a lot of the energy across all of the frequencies today, there's a lot of just facing a problem, ripping that energetic band-aid off, doing that hard, invested, emotional and spiritual labor for the sense of saying, getting it done, not wanting to avoid it, not wanting to bypass it, just wanting to, we got to go, can't go around it, can't go over it, can't go under it, you got to go through it. Like a lot of this energy today, utilizing some of that energetic path work of the intensity. I have to say, it's the intensity of the eclipse, but also like starting to build that energetic heaviness of the Mercury retrograde. That's almost like bringing that, like I told you, that balance, like a nice little balancing energy today that's creating a lot of energetic conviction to overcome energetic obstacles. And that's happening across all frequencies right now, all across the board, which is something that we like to see. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today. Why? What happens when we go through, the faster you go through the haunted house, the faster you get out the other side, right? That's that moment that we're almost seeing here. So this is a lot of the energy that what we appreciate about this right now is this is the energy that doesn't want to procrastinate doing this type of work. This is literally energy right now that's saying, why put off tomorrow what we can do today? Because that's the difference of feeling like something is energetically hovering over your head versus just like getting the thing done and then being able to enjoy what's on the other side. And again, that's happening right now for a lot of the energy across all of the spectrums. So we like that because this is that moment that while there is that energetic heaviness here, it also feels like it's immediately providing that sense of determination coming to the forefront that's helping build that energetic conviction to move through something to be able to get to the other side, right? That's like continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 8 of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our 7 of Wands. One card to clarify, please. Four of Swords. The thing about this right now, and I think that this is really interesting. I'll put it this way. What we're effectively or energetically seeing is happening right now, to a certain extent, is for a lot of this energy that is working through this. It's not the it's one of those days that it's really kind of like, it's feeling like you're plodding through it, but you're plodding through it because you want to get something finished. You just want to get on the other side of it. The desire and the need to what's nice about today, I'll stress, it is almost like the desire and the need for some energetic rest is what is propelling a lot of energy forward. And again, that's a positive to be able to see, because that is the moment of being able to see something that may feel like it's energetically heavy, but it's almost creating a level or degree of like focusing and like concentration today that's really helping just take care of a lot of, I'm getting here, like emotional, energetic, maybe even practical busy work, just really like really just kind of like it's giving me a little bit of that, like, pounding through it to a certain extent today, but just trying to get like doing it's like doing the hard part first, so then you can feel the contentment or satisfaction of having effectively navigated it. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, that is a lot of that energetic equivalent of, again, not wanting to leave a stone unturned, not wanting to move into a space or state of seeing and recognizing something that was an energetic difficulty point and saying, like, even now, I'll put it this way, even if there's energy here, this is that moment that says it's not even the fact that you have to energetically do the work today. Figuring out a course of action, figuring out the solution is effectively a moment of energetic contentment. Same for the energy coming into the divine union frequency. So that in itself is like a lot of that energetic, like, catharsis point that we're seeing this potentially rising up here. So this is saying to me, like, this is a day that may feel like an amplification of getting a lot done, overcoming obstacles, but then feeling that easement point of really earning your energetic rest, if you will, like having that peace point at the other side of it. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is that energetic catharsis that you're potentially receiving in relationality to recognizing what that pathwork is going forward. For masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, feminine energy, I'm going to say it again, if there's a moment that feminine energy is finding energetic peace and separation away from a circumstance or situation where they didn't experience any energetic peace, this is the feminine energy having to look at something and again almost going through kind of an energetic mourning period and being like, well, I can understand where the problem was. That's the feminine energy saying, if I'm feeling content having moved away from something, then that's the identification point in understanding where the disruption point is. And that may be energetically hard for the feminine energy, because that's almost the feminine energy that wishes that there was something that they could identify in separation that would identify them to be able to work on. Like, this is the feminine energy going to separation, being like, I need to work on myself. And then suddenly recognizing and being like, I don't need to work on myself. I just needed to get away from an energy that was making me feel like I needed to work on myself. Like, and that in itself is the feminine energy doing work on the self, because that's the feminine energy saying, I need to work on myself. I need to have better boundaries in relationality to who I move in alignment with. Like, that's not feminine energy not taking accountability. It's just the feminine energy recognizing and realizing the deeper karmic lesson that is required or necessary there. Masculine energy in separation. If this is a moment in separation, where masculine is feeling like things have gotten energetically harder, this could be a moment that feels like, again, that assessment of self. But this could be a moment of, again, potentially identifying and recognizing. If this is a moment of feeling that frustration point, in feeling that sense of not being able to speak to the feminine on what your aspirations or dreams were, right? That's that moment of potentially recognizing that what happens when we can't move into that intimacy space, when we can't tell someone how we truly feel, when we can't express the energetic compassion and love. It's that moment that feels like the amplification of only being able to express need because it's energetically safer. But then the recognition point that if you're in a relationship and you're not telling someone you love them or you care about them, but all you're saying is that you need this or you need that, that's that moment that you may be recognizing and seeing yourself energetically. And almost like even now, this is the masculine energy potentially seeing aspects of the past self if that was occurring. And this is why so much of the masculine energy may be doing this heavy work on trying to heal the inner self right now. Because that's the masculine energy and potentially seeing and experiencing something, almost starting to do that work, moving now down the pathwork of healing. Masculine energy, if you're experiencing this, that's because you're healing your feminine self. You're starting to understand and experience what the feminine may experience when you're not in a healed space. And realizing and recognizing that when you don't heal the heart of intimacy, then it doesn't allow you to really tell how you feel. It doesn't allow you to communicate your dream to the feminine. All you say is, I want you, I need this, I need that. It creates that space of the feminine always feeling like they're lacking energetically because you're not telling them how much they mean, how valuable they are. And whether that's masculine energy that doesn't have the ability to do so because of the fear of the ego that resists being able to tell someone how much you care about them, or that masculine energy that was taught that that wasn't the way to navigate forward with feminine. This is the masculine energy doing a lot of that internal journey from within, saying, I need to conquer something here. And it's within the self. So that way, and that's a lot of the masculine energy, learning to navigate through that part of self that wants to rise up, but sometimes acts as a self-sabotaging mechanism to prevent you from being able to move into your highest version of self. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now for masculine and feminine energy that's moving in the divine union frequency. You've already had this energetic breakthrough. And even now what we're seeing that for a lot of the masculine and feminine energy in this modality right now, this is that moment of, again, just trying to get the hard part done so you could have that energetic rest. This isn't something that's happening so much on the internal vector because you've already done it on the internal vector. It's more just, tackling the external moments to be able to have that point of being able to come into a space or place of rest and intimacy together. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is more of that energetic unpacking that we feel is similar to the energy at the heart, like in separation, because this is that moment of being able to identify if there was some point of intensity that was reached over the last few days, if it exists external outside of the self, something that needs to be changed externally, or something that you're still doing some work on within. Because that's the difference of identifying what you need to like facilitate with working with an energy with, or something that you're keeping more to yourself because you're identifying and recognizing and saying, this is something that I need to work on. This is something that I brought with me into the divine union frequency. And this is the energy knowing energetically that they don't have to do it alone, but almost saying to the counterpart energy, no, I know I have to do it alone because this is something that I'm now seeing in myself that has happened in past experiences. And I don't want it to become an energetic threat here. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 7 of Wands in combination with our 10 of Swords. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now here. These are some heavy cards today, my friends. These are some heavy cards today, my friends, but they're productive, okay? Because what we're effectively identifying right now is that this is the exploration of the abandonment wound today. This is the exploration of the abandonment wound today. But what's beautiful about this is not energy right now. This is not energy that's running from that work. The abandonment wound typically creates that energetic trigger where you want to just go, woo, just woo, like there you go. Like a lot of that, again, that sense of energy coming out right now of wanting to energetically avoid something. What is this energy doing? Is the energy energetically avoiding it? No, not energetically avoiding it. Instead, energetically facing it, catching it, grabbing it, going, I see you, I've got you. There it is. There's the abandonment wound. I found you. Even now, for a lot of the energy, and this is beautiful because being able to recognize and identify that is what effectively allows us. And I have to stress here, this is the important thing. You know, abandonment wounds, things of this nature, it's not that they ever go away entirely, but the ability to recognize and identify them, the ability to see something within the self that may have elicited something that moved you away from your highest path and purpose. Being able to energetically confront it is what effectively allows for that moment to, again, have a pause point. Have a moment that it doesn't elicit an energetic reaction from you, but instead creates a moment where you just observe. It's like a lot of the energy today is going to be able to observe their own abandonment wound coming out to like popping its head out, coming out to play and being like, I'm not hey there you are, I see you, right? And what's lovely about that is that, again, for the masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, that is the energetic tie that binds, because these are the energies that are not avoiding recognizing that those wounds are there. They are expressing them. They are articulating them for the sake of being able to say, what are we going to, we know they're not going away. Look at these. These are the energies saying, we know they're not going away. What are we going to do when they rise up to be able to have them go back away? Like it's like a jack in the box. Like when the abandonment one comes up, point, like what are we just going to do to make, like how are we going to navigate that? Because that's either something that, again, an external situation that can be adjusted or modified to create a sense of better easement, or something that needs to be recognized within the self. That when you see it, you know how to facilitate coming into a calming measure within the self to be able to avoid that becoming a problem area. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is more of that energetic equivalent of just there's a lot of changes that are happening right now in the energy. Okay, this is the energy coming into the divine union frequency. A bunch of you guys just went ahead and just like ripped. You guys just, I see a lot of energy that just like deepened partnership connections during this eclipse cycle. And now it's like the energy going, I can't go back. There's no going back. But it's not, But here's the thing about it. What we're seeing is the fact that this energy, it's not that the energy wants to go back. It's the energy, again, recognizing that abandonment wound popping up. That's like, I can't go back. Like, there's no going back. But in a way that, like, it's, again, even that is becoming the tie that binds to a certain extent. It's like that you're stuck with me kind of energy, kind of moment. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. This is that energetic equivalent, if you will, that is expressing a lot of that energetic breakthrough. And what's happening here for a lot of the energy that's in separation is identifying, and this is going to feel a little different depending on whether you're feminine or masculine aligned, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is either feminine energy recognizing the abandonment wound, the fear of abandonment that would impel the feminine to stay in a circumstance or situation where they feel like they're changing so much at the cost of their own self to try to facilitate a connection. Or this is masculine energy in separation, recognizing and identifying that their own energetic fear of intimacy has at times made them their own worst enemy in an energetic connection. Both of these, all of these energies in separation right now, like looking themselves in the mirror and seeing the abandonment wound that was potentially requiring them to move into energetic separation in the first place. And if that's happening, that's beautiful. Congratulations, because that's a moment that you can see something. You know where to pour the gold in now. You know where you need to heal. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 10 of Swords in combination with our 9 of Swords in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. A problem that is seen and a problem that is confronted is a problem that can have new solutions. So even now, while this may feel like, again, this moment that feels like the weight of an energetic crisis to a certain extent, it's also allowing and providing for that moment of energetic opportunity or that moment of energetic breakthrough, because that is the moment that we are seeing, that one is able to confront with what is within oneself that one wants to cease, right? One wants to allow to move away from. And even in that moment, the ability to see oneself in such a context, it can feel, and this is why we call it an ego death, because it's one that feels like it is a relief, because that is the moment of recognizing something within the self that you are happy to energetically part with, because you recognize and realize that by parting with it, you'll offer yourself a new opportunity. It becomes an easement. It's almost that moment of being like, oh no, but oh, thank God. Because that's that moment of being able to see something and say, I can fix it. Something that is seen can be fixed. Something that can be seen and observed is something that can be approached. So we see even now that that's something that is allowing for new opportunities, new breakthroughs, new insights. That heaviness of the path of understanding of the self that is immediately met with like the gift of what one can facilitate and do in the present, right? Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is the energetic equivalent of feeling like that, oh no, but yay kind of moment, because a lot of this energy I'm seeing here already, like took this leap of faith, made some kind of deep investment in an energetic commitment, like put something like really like put some pen to paper here in relationality to like some kind of like deepening of a commitment process here. And this is that moment that we're seeing and experiencing that's like, again, it feels like a little bit of like, it feels more like a little bit of laughter that's added to this process, because it's that moment of saying like there's no going back, but also like yay, because that's not a moment that feels like it's not like a boo, there's no going back. It's more like a there's no going back. Masculine and feminine energy that is in the heart of the divine union frequency. This is more of that same observation of self. Because if there's some kind of observable moment right now that something during the eclipse cycle came up within you, but it's not something that was energetically new. It's something that you've been carrying with you, potentially even into the divine union. That's that moment that feels like that point of observation energetically on what you feel and recognize that you can change, that requires work within the self. versus what needs to be navigated around you if something is new that you haven't energetically felt before, that can be tangibly observed and changed and modified and adjusted. So even here, we see that observation point, getting to the heart of a problem, is providing an opportunity for a new positive outcome or solution. The gift of the Mercury retrograde. Continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Wands in its reversal and our Sun card. We like this. This is the cloud break. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency. When we recognize the pattern within the self, we have the opportunity to make a new direction. So even now, even if there's something here that feels like it's an energetic problem point, this isn't energy that is deflecting. This isn't energy that is accusing. This is energy that is utilizing that as an energetic gift. Because the idea and aspiration here is, again, there's no problem that cannot find a positive solution. There's nothing that you can bring forward that doesn't allow for that point of energetic breakthrough. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, being able to come into that process of either recognizing what needs to be externally adjusted without or internally adjusted, calibrated within, that is a positive, because that's seeing and recognizing a pattern and being able to find a new effective way to adjust or modify for it. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is literally more tangible. You're not doing this on like the emotional or spiritual space. You're doing it in the tangible space. You've made that choice. This is more of that moment of saying you've already come through it. And this is that moment that it's like, oh boy, but also it's more of that amplification of like joy over whatever feels like it's that uncertainty. It's like that's where we see, that's what excitement is. It's the amplification of happiness with fear. The fear has a higher degree in the mixture. So it becomes the energetic excitement point. Masculine and feminine energy and separation, a lot of energetic breakthroughs today. A lot of energetic breakthroughs in relationality to cycles. Because a lot of energy and separation right now is going to see something about their own self or their own cycles that is allowing them an opportunity that feels like a moment of energetic healing and catharsis, even if it's energetically heavy, because seeing something within the self that one desires to change allows one the opportunity to be able to observe and change it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Swords in combination with our Five of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? It's hard. It's hard work. These cards are so heavy. We've got double 10. Have you guys noticed we've been having we had a bunch of double 9. We had 3 9s 2 days ago. We had 2 8s yesterday. Now we got the 10s here. A lot of this energetic heaviness coming to bear, but this is important because this is heavy path work. This is hard work that we're seeing. We've got our 10, we've got 2 10 cards out now. We've got 10 of Wands. It's not that it's easy. That's the only thing about this. A lot of these breakthroughs, it's not like, oh, I'll just go ahead and change that, because you've been carrying it for a long time. This is that moment. It feels like that energetic weight to a certain extent, because that's that moment that you've been carrying something for so long, you forget that you've been carrying it. It's that moment, and this is the thing about it. Some of this energy is this is the abandonment wound rising to the surface in a lot of energy right now, being like, but if I don't do that, what would I do? If I don't carry that, what would I feel like? That's the moment of seeing. That's why habits, even if they're not healthy, are we become accommodated, we become accustomed to them. It's that moment that we have a hard time releasing them because we've been carrying them for so long. So this is a lot of path work here, potentially in energy, recognizing and identifying their own patterns at this time that is helping recognize what you need to adjust or modify to be able to facilitate that moment of progressing through. And it's not as look, recognizing patterns like that, it's oh, just stop doing it. It's no, you can't. That's the thing. It's easier said than done to a certain extent. So we see even now that a lot of this energy is starting to at least coming into the space or place of recognizing what one needs to change, seeing one's own abandonment wounds, is also allowing for that breakthrough point in recognizing and understanding how far, like this is someone being like, oh, well, now I know what I have to do. Now I see, now my path work is clear. Now I see like how much further I have to go, because that's the energy that is recognizing their abandonment wounds and now being able to set the course and being able to, and even now we see for the energy in divine union frequency, the energy at the heart of the divine union, this is that moment of recognizing and understanding that you can't just you just can't drop an abandonment wound. It's not just going to go away. This is that moment that feels like the energetic amplification point in recognizing and identifying and saying, if there's something within you that's always been within you, it's not the fact that we can just energetically like remove that abandonment wound. It's more about a moment of saying, how do we work with it? Like, how do we facilitate that? Is there something there that can be energetically healed? But if not, how do we navigate it? Because it's going to come back. It's going to move. It's going to be there. It's something that we bring with us. It's going to be a part and parcel, if you will. So we see even now that a lot of the energy in the divine union frequency is working on that path work of energetically committing themselves to how to either, again, make the adjustments necessary to accommodate for what needs to be an external change to help facilitate an abandonment wound not expressing itself, or someone committing themselves in the divine union to the path work of healing that abandonment wound by affirming their own commitment to their own self-work. So in either way right now, there's that moment where the abandonment wound pops up and it helps. It's not something that's being avoided. It's now something that's being navigated. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. This is potentially feeling the abandonment wound pop up at the time that you've made an energetic commitment. Because this is that moment that, again, this is that ratio of someone feeling a little bit of that anxiety rising to the surface, but almost saying to oneself, there's no going back now. Like you're already on this path. So I told you a lot of this energy like moved forward in a big way during that eclipse energy. And now it's like, there's like, this is the way, like this is the direction. So even if that's there, what's nice about this is there's a sense here of energetic catharsis, because even if that abandonment wound's rising up, it's not moving people off of their energetic path. It's just something that is being navigated as they continue forward in this way. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is committing and affirming the path work that led to the energetic separation point. And I have to say that for some of the energy right now, specifically a lot of the feminine energy, it may have felt like, in a way, you came through like almost felt like an energetic test, if you will, because a moment of being able to see a moment or circumstance wherein you wanted to like go in and help the masculine, but you said, I can't. I just be repeating an energetic path that I just took. That's the feminine energy recognizing and suddenly getting the gift of being like, oh, I see my own, there is something I have to take accountability for here. My ability to try to want to facilitate fixing something sometimes expresses itself in trying to fix someone, sometimes expresses itself in staying in situations that are clearly not meant for me and doing everything I can to try to fix it to be meant for me. That's the feminine energy going, I figured that I found my abandonment wound. That's the feminine saying, well, there's it is. That's what I've got to work on. I've got to stay committed to not letting myself move into that by having those healthy boundaries. Masculine energy, if in separation right now, if there's a moment or situation or circumstance where you find yourself in separation, you've been doing that work right now to build forward to the feminine, but even now building forward to the feminine in a plane of honesty, if you're still finding that moment of not being able to tell the feminine your intention, you're recognizing the difference between honesty and honesty. And for, again, the masculine energy, to see that moment, to feel that moment, that flare up, that sense of protection, that wall come up in you that wants to get reactive at a time when you should soften, feeling like that guardrail jump up and being like, why, what are you doing? Like, why are you here? It's like, I'm here to protect you. And you're like, from what? There's nothing here to protect me from. And it's going, I'm here to protect you. And you're going, you look ridiculous. Like that's me. I look ridiculous. Why do I do that? So this is the masculine energy seeing and recognizing their own energetic patterns, especially if there's a moment, if you've discovered that at points where you feel like you should have gone soft, you go rigid, you suddenly like get very defensive, like you throw up your, like, you know, you like throw up your shield. That's the masculine going, I need to learn how to, there's my abandonment wound. I just saw it rising back up again. And for a lot of the masculine energy, this is rising back up just at the mere thought. Just at the mere thought of opening up to the feminine in this way, and just revealing and trying to come to the feminine from a place of authenticity and revealing your dream and aspiration. So if that's happening just at the masculine, just thinking about these processes, and it's going like this is the masculine going like why are these like little dummies popping back up, like when I'm not even like seeing something that's like, you're like, why is that, you know, that's the unpacking of being like, oh, I found the abandonment wound, there it is. What, you've been here the whole time. You've been, oh my God, the whole time. And that's the masculine being able to say, I need to figure out how to, I can't get rid of you. I need to figure out how to move through you without letting you get in the way of everything. Masculine and feminine energy. Continuing forward between our 5 of Pentacles in combination. Look at this. This is what we like with our, in combination with our Page of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with, Wheel of Fortune in its upright. Because what happens, look at this, this is lovely. What happens when we're able to confront and see our abandonment wound? We can recognize it, we can address it. It's not going anywhere, but it does give us that ability to like do something different when it arrives, because we're able to see it and be like, I know you. You're that part of me that comes up to protect me, but doesn't actually protect me. Like, you come up, you try. Sometimes you come, you're like, this wrong time. You got to go back and go back in there. Go back where you're supposed to be. Like, that's a moment to a certain extent that feels like that point. Like, again, it's like, it's almost like the army running out and like running into the room, and you have to be like, guys, just go back. And they're going, what? You know, just go back. It's not, no, it's fine. Like, it's a little bit like that. You know what I mean? Because that's that ability, like that moment of being able to identify it within the self. And again, not letting the energy like move you in that fashion, but observing it and then making the intentional choice to ask oneself whether the abandonment wound is functional, whether it feels like it's actually energetically protecting you, or if it's, you know, causing more conflict in a situation that doesn't require it. That's that moment that allows for that energetic breakthrough point, because it's the amplification of making the choice as to how one is going to react when it occurs. So for masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency, that ability to recognize and observe that is like almost the mission right now for a lot of the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, because not wanting to inflict the emotions of the self on another. Emotions are not things that we should inflict on each other. Emotions are things that should help us build intimacy. That affirmation of saying, I never want my emotions to act as a wall between us. I want them to be the tie that binds. And I will recognize that when they do, when the emotions come up and they make me push you further away, that is the abandonment wound trying to energetically protect me at a time that it is not necessary to energetically protect me. That is the ability of the energy right now to recognize and identify if there's something in the tangible space that needs to be adjusted or accommodated for because it's triggering the abandonment wound too much. Or if there's something within, if you've been carrying this abandonment wound with you the whole time, something that you can address within the self to ensure that the abandonment wound isn't going to disrupt your continuation of movement in the energetic harmony that you're aspiring and desiring in the heart of the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine energy that's coming into divine union, This is more of like, this is going to be more of the tangible right now. You've already committed to this path. This is you like tangibly committing. This isn't like a metaphysical commitment. This is like a tangible commitment. This is energy tangibly committing into the divine union frequency. Putting like, this is like putting an energetic ring on it and being like, okay, I can't go back down now. But it's almost like that moment of being like, I wouldn't want to anyway. It's almost like, it's more of like the abandonment wound's coming up, but these are, I told you, these are energies that already conquered the abandonment wound. So these are energies that are moving in that way, because like even as the abandonment wound rides up right now, they're like, there it is. Yeah, I knew I was going to feel like that because I conquered that feeling a while ago. Yeah, this is what happens when I feel like this, right? Masculine and feminine energy in separation, being able, this is a gift right now. If there's energy in separation and you're recognizing and identifying your abandonment wound, well, congratulations. You just figured out what you need to fix to be able to move into divine union. For feminine energy, this could be the feminine energy recognizing the abandonment wound of trying to want to fix things too much, of trying to fix things that do not require fixing, trying to turn one thing into another thing that it's not, or effectively energetically staying somewhere where someone's saying that you need to fix yourself to be able to facilitate staying somewhere because you're not supposed to be there in the first place. So this is the feminine energy saying, recognizing that their own ability to try to fix something is due to an abandonment wound of feeling that the anxiety point of being energetically alone overrides the ability to make sure that there's a point of discernment in terms of who they're energetically building with. So we see even now that for the feminine energy, recognizing that, and even now seeing an energy moment where they may be seeing masculine halfway on their energetic journey and going, I can't step in there. That's the feminine energy. Like healing, working on feeling the abandonment wound coming up and going, but what if I lose them? And feminine being like, we're not losing anything. We're not losing anything. What are you talking about? We just went through this. Ah, there it is. There's the abandonment wound. I found it, right? Masculine energy. If there's a masculine energy going through this process in separation, trying to navigate a place of saying like, I want to be open and honest with the feminine. I want to be authentic and I want to share my dream. Oh my God, what was that came up? Like that feeling of being like something that rises up within you goes, no. And then you going, what, who is that? What was that? Like that moment of being like, why do I get so, like, what is that thing that comes up when I'm trying to bring these things together, when I'm trying to move into that space of intimacy? That's a masculine being like, come back here. Like trying to be like, what is that? Like, that's that moment of masculine being like, oh, it's my abandonment wound. I got a bunch of guards that come running out of the closet to try to defend me, and I have to send them back to the closet. I got to tell them to calm down because they're trying to protect me, but they're just goofing up all the time. And sometimes they're scaring everybody out of the room. In fact, I'm bringing an army in where an army is not necessary, right? So that's the moment of, again, the masculine healing, because that's a moment of masculine being like, that's always going to happen. I'm not going to make that go away. I'm going to change how I react. I'm going to observe it within myself, and I'm going to start to handle it in a different way. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, this ability right now of, again, Page of Pentacles in combination with our Four of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with Justice in its reversal. This is the amplification that we're effectively seeing right now that's helping to recognize where the imbalance lies. And when we recognize where the imbalance lies, that allows us a state or space to be able to facilitate bringing in better balance. So for masculine and feminine energy in separation, this is beautiful because these are not energies in separation that are looking towards the past counterpart and being like it was all them. This is the energy in separation going, I understand now. I can see my part in something. I can see my part that potentially requires that need to heal the self. For feminine, a lot of this is potentially saying, I see my part in potentially wanting to bring something in, wanting to facilitate something. This is why the feminine says, I have to hold back. And that's not the feminine withholding. This is the feminine energy saying, I need to see a masculine that wants the things that I want. Because that is the difference between me feeling like I'm moving with a masculine that feels like that energetic resistance point and trying to constantly feel like I'm keeping them somewhere that they don't desire or aspire to be because they haven't found their path or purpose yet. or trying to facilitate an energy where I feel like I can't build in a point of intimacy because the masculine hasn't learned to be intimate yet, because they never were able to get up the courage to open up and offer that to offer that dream to me. This is the feminine healing the imbalance within the self that says, I need to be able to recognize the ability. My care for someone needs to be the expression point and being like, I want to let them go. I'm okay having that moment of recognizing that it is better for them to be out in the world if it means that they can find their path, as opposed to me bringing them in or trying to facilitate a space that makes it easy and convenient for them, but doesn't feel like it allows them to truly flourish into who they aspire and desire to be. This is the feminine energy recognizing and wanting to break that energetic cycle. Masculine energy. If this is you in energetic separation, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. If this is a moment or modality wherein you recognize your own inability or your own anxiety point in being vulnerable and intimate to the feminine, has been acting as an energetic hurdle in being able to facilitate truly building with a feminine. That's that moment of identifying and recognizing that if it feels like you've been building around a feminine, that's because it requires intimacy to be able to build with the feminine. And for the masculine energy, if you're trying to move into that state or space of being intimate, and suddenly even the thought of opening up to feminine, even the thought of revealing your dream to the feminine has this little soldier pop up inside of you, like that aggressive point that goes, no, you can't do that. That's that moment that you're seeing something that was there, it almost like, it's like seeing like something that was there to put there for your own energetic protection of the self, but being like, you're wrong time, dude. This is not where you're supposed to be coming up. We're not about to get eaten by a lion. I'm trying to talk to a girl, or I'm trying to talk to a partner. I'm trying to talk to someone I care about. So being able to observe that and recognize that, to see that reaction point within and say, wrong place, wrong time, but still you're there. Me telling you it's a wrong place and wrong time, you're still there. How do I need to figure out how to. That's the energy of the masculine saying, what do I do within? What do I need to do within? What do I do within when I feel that part of me that says stop, but I know it's not really necessary? It's something that it's like my ego that's coming in to say, but it really is something that I have to say. I have to, that's the healing of the inner child. I need to say, it's okay. We're safe here. This is a safe space. It's fine. Like, that's the ability of the masculine, learning the ability to calm that energy that is there to energetically protect, but needs to be utilized with a path of energetic discernment as to whether it is helpful or whether it blocks the ability to build an intimate connection with the feminine. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 10 of Wands in combination with our Wheel of Fortune. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. A lot, this is the guys. I know you guys don't like this Mercury retrograde energy, but it's helpful because when the past comes back up, whether it's on a metaphysical way or a tangible way, it's not just coming back up for the sake of making things difficult. It's coming back up to help review where you are presently versus what you were feeling then. It's a little, it's like you have to go back to chapter 2 for a minute, because there might have been something on chapter 2 that you missed the first time around, right? So in a way, that ability to recognize and identify that is understanding the difference between feeling pulled back to something and being like, I'm going the wrong way, versus that energetic equivalent of saying, that guidance point saying, hey, maybe you should think about that again, because maybe there's something now. Maybe there's something that's happening now that is helping you change what you saw or what you felt back then. Maybe there's something that you need to reconsider. That's that moment that feels like, again, a point of looking and identifying the Mercury retrograde, less as a point that feels like it's energetically pulling you backwards, more as a reminder to double check your work. Make sure that you energetically like that direction. Make sure that you're still have you had a point of recorrection? Is there something there that you want to double check? That is that moment that's almost brought forth to a certain extent to help us come into that sense of heightened perfection, right? Because when we move in that space where we just kind of fall into a progressive point, it can be far too easy for us to move forward in ways that don't allow for us to have energetic breakthroughs. All of the energy right now is potentially, all of the energy right now is potentially having a lot of breakthroughs at a moment of feeling the combined intensity of the eclipse combined with the Mercury retrograde. So big intense energy, a lot of the energy of the past rising up with a lot of this frustrating energy on top. It's a challenging space, granted, but it also allows for a lot of energetic accomplishments to potentially be reached during this time, because now is a time about, seeing the past through a different perspective, recognizing your own unhealthy patterns or patterns that you wish to change, amend, or correct to be able to chart your course effectively. And that's occurring right now across all of the frequencies. And that doesn't mean the desire to energetically go back the way you were, because you can never go back to where you were. It's allowing you to utilize the past as that template to help you recognize and steer that direction going forward in positive ways and spaces. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Wheel of Fortune in combination with our Justice card in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our World in its reversal. So, masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. The thing we need to see, the thing that we're recognizing right now is, one of the things we're seeing, and I think that even now we're seeing that there may be a moment that it feels energetically disruptive. There's something here that we're seeing even now. It feels like there's almost a few things right now that are happening in the heart of the divine union frequency that feel like they've arrived at, I want to be able to discuss this as some kind of I want to say almost like an energetic tipping point to a certain extent, because it's that amplification point, if you will, of, really, I'll put it this way. The important thing about what I'm seeing here is recognizing and understanding the source of what feels like it is creating an energetic disruption. But that is the gift of doing so, because that ability to recognize that is what is allowing the energy in the heart of the divine union frequency to come up with better energetic solutions that feel like they create or provide more energetic balance, right? That is that moment, that is the amplification point of energetic disruption, but that helps facilitate that sense of easement going forward, right? And even now, I can see this. It feels difficult because it really does feel like for some of the energy in the divine union frequency, I have to express it. It's like sometimes things need to reach a certain temperature or a certain expansion point in order to facilitate that type of change. But what's lovely about this is for the energy in the divine union frequency, there's something even about that slight disruption that may have occurred over the last few weeks. That is a moment that is almost isolating the idea or the circumstance of saying, better to address something small at a time that it is small to avoid it becoming a bigger issue. Because again, that was that moment of feeling like the opportunity to see what something might feel like in that bigger context is what now is giving the energetic clarity in relationality to what you want to do going forward, to almost avoid that energetic scenario. In a way, we're almost seeing here that moment of the eclipse happening here, that intensification point. It almost gave a little bit of a glimpse of the future to a lot of the feminine and masculine energy in the divine union frequency, especially if there was something small that felt like it got amplified for a second and then went back down. So that ability to recognize that, as it were, is something that allows to facilitate some point of energetic change in relationality to how to energetically address it. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. This is that amplification of some kind of breakthrough that you might have made during that eclipse cycle. A lot of that energy potentially like made some kind of like large sweeping decision or determination that feels like it's made the present life kind of turned upside down, but it's all for the sake of correcting an imbalance that feels like it's growing, because the more that you kind of feel like you're merging with another energy, the more that you're coming into the divine union, it's more like that moment of trying to get the world around you to come into alignment with what you're expressively feeling in that energetic connection. So it may be creating a lot of that sense of like making a decision that's going to like make your life feel a little bit chaotic for a moment, but it's all for the sake of like, sometimes you have to mess up a room in order to clean it, right? Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is that moment of identifying what you need to change energetically going forward. And even now, being able to look back on the past with a sense of clarity. For feminine, this is potentially recognizing and identifying something about your own energetic tendencies here. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. But that moment, that is what feels like an energetic breakthrough, because something that is observed is something that can be intentionally chosen. So for a lot of the feminine energy, recognizing that tendency is almost coming into a state or space of saying, the feminine saying, feminine has an incredible, and this is the catharsis point. This is the feminine having a moment of recognizing the value of this gift. This is almost feminine energy in separation saying, I am able to, like, this is how the feminine energy is healing right now. If this is feminine energy, looking back at situations and circumstances and saying, wow, I was the thing that was keeping something afloat. I was doing it all on my own. I was moving something in a direction, even almost oppositional to the energy that felt like it wasn't working, that was working oppositional to me, like as I tried to forge a path forward. What is the feminine energy in separation saying to themselves? If I could do all that with energy that wasn't moving in alignment with me, imagine what I could do with energy that was. Imagine what I could do with energy that wanted the same things I wanted. Imagine the things I could do with energy that had worked through their own ability to be intimate, that could share their dream with me and we could build on that dream together. Imagine what that shape would look like. And that's the feminine energy saying, I've never experienced that because I keep energetically choosing the energy that is energetically resistant to it. Masculine energy. If in separation, if there's a modality right now where you are navigating or experiencing a moment that feels like that energetic disruption point, and even now potentially having an energetic breakthrough that could be like the modification point between the difference between a breakthrough and a crisis point. If there's a moment where, again, you're exploring this ability to try to build intimacy with the feminine, leading forth from a place of authenticity, even now experiencing the desire to be able to articulate and tell the feminine what you truly feel, what you truly need, but then feeling something within you rising up going, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Go back. That's the masculine energy having a moment and being like, oh, like that's what I've been bringing forth. I've been letting that voice speak for me. I've been letting that energy, that unhealed part of myself, that part that feels like it needs to protect me from things, like feelings. This is the masculine energy potentially recognizing and understanding and feeling the pathwork of within, and feeling like this is now like that's that battle that you may have felt like if that's that moment between feeling the difference between feel like you're battling the world versus saying, if I'm battling the world, is it because I've been running up to everyone holding a sword and screaming? If I'm battling the world, is it because I'm walking in raising the temperature in the room? If it feels like the world is battling me, is it because I'm leading with a hug? Or is it because I'm leading with a clenched fist? So for the masculine energy, recognizing this could be a moment of observing and looking back at past situations and scenarios with new eyes, because that's that moment of saying, if everywhere I go, there is conflict, if everywhere I go, there is imbalance. Remember the journey that I told you the energy and the divine union's doing? Is that something that I'm actually been experiencing around me? Or is that because I've been bringing the internal conflict out everywhere I travel? So we see even now that moment of recognition of that, if you're experiencing that, that allows you to make a different choice. That softening is present, that possibility is there, and it's built on that moment of potentially observing that there may be a different viable option in terms of reacting when that feeling rises up. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Five of Swords in its reversal in combination with the World card in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. And if it hurts to discover that, well, the pain is the cracking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Because the moment that you recognize that, the moment that you potentially energetically realize that, the moment that you realize that if you walk into a room with fear, you're bringing the fear with you. The moment that you recognize that sense of anxiety, like that is the energy that you bring with you, that is how we can start to be able to capture it and recognize it within the self, to be able to allow ourselves a different option. So we see even now that for a lot of this energy right now, even in separation, a lot of this energy in separation, having that point of observing, look at the beauty of the retrograde cycle right now. Looking at the past, not projecting outwards, not going into the space or place of energetically blaming those around you, but taking a moment of internal accountability, looking at something and saying, it wasn't all energetically me, but there is something here I could energetically do different going forward. And that is the moment of energetic liberation, because that is the moment that you look back to the past, not with a sense of regret, not with a sense of saying, why does this always happen? That's when you can look back at the past and say, it keeps happening, but I'm also there. It keeps happening, but I'm also there. I can make a different choice. I don't have to amplify what's not working. I have to recognize what isn't working and make a different choice. And this is the energy. This is the energy recognizing what is within and without. For the feminine, this is the feminine saying, recognizing that something isn't working should not always elicit a reaction of me doing everything under the sun to make it work. That is that moment of effectively potentially surrendering something that feels like it's not in energetic alignment with me and moving on to find something that energetically is. Letting that be the energetic choice of another to come into alignment. For masculine, that is masculine going on the journey and saying, if everywhere I go, there is an air of confrontation. If everywhere I go, I feel like I am being energetically attacked by someone asking me an intimate question, is that because I'm actually in a place where I am in energetic danger? Or is that because there is an instinctual need within me to protect my person that sometimes comes out in the absolutely wrong spaces or places? And that ability to identify and recognize that is also creating a moment of saying, why do I feel so anxious at the thought of that not even that is that moment of saying, like, I have to take this armor off. I have to remove that side of me that wants to take everything up a notch, wants to put up a battlement instead of opening a door. Because that is the masculine energy, recognizing the difference between what feels like it actually energetically protects you versus what feels like it creates a wall that is impenetrable, that keeps you separated from those that you may care about most. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union, the energy's already done this work. The energy coming into divine union, this is the energy that's already constantly doing that work of energetically unpacking, feeling like they found that, and again, finding that counterpart and being able to build intimacy wasn't finding the right person. It was doing enough work to be able to be intimate in such a way that would allow for the facilitation of being able to build energetically with someone. So we see even now there's a moment here that a lot of that energy, there's that sense of uncertainty as to like what the next chapter is. But it's that moment of feeling the amplification of saying, I don't feel like we're doing it alone. We're doing it energetically together. And so that's the difference. That's when the abandonment wound doesn't feel like an abandonment wound, because you've overcome your own feeling of intimacy and saying, we're doing it together. Like that, and not doing it because of the other person, but recognizing and healing the intimacy from within is that moment saying, we're going to be brave together. Whatever comes, we're going to hold fast in terms and helping each other along the way. Masculine and feminine energy that is in divine union, the heart of the divine union, this is that observational point in the difference in what has effectively been changing around you since entering the divine union that may be causing an energetic friction point versus what might be within you that you carried into the divine union that may be rising up and still causing some kind of energetic problem, because that observational point in experiencing and determining what feels like it's the external issue versus the internal one is helping recognize whether there's something here that needs to be functionally changed in the external, or if this is something that needs to be worked on from within. And either way, identifying where that is, putting that mark on the map, helps you figure out how to navigate it. Like that in itself is the energetic breakthrough. Final card for today's spread is Five of Cups in its reversal. So, one of the things that we're seeing here across like all of the frequencies is just the fact that like, this is about letting go. One of the things we see here, I told you, a lot of these habits, a lot of these patterns that we're identifying, there's almost like a difficulty in releasing them, because again, it's that moment of carrying something that may be hard to carry, but holding it gives you comfort, right? It's like that moment of holding on to something that doesn't feel like it's actually helping you, but you've just gotten so used to holding it that it's hard to energetically let it go. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy in that doing that work right now, recognizing and identifying the parts of the self that you feel like you're ready to release because they're not necessarily serving you anymore. Like that's that moment that like, it feels very energetically heavy, because I told you, it almost feels like that, like letting go of that past version of self. And there's also a moment here that for a lot of the energy, if you're just recognizing these tendencies, if you're just observing these things in the self, that ability of wishing that you had seen it sooner to be able to change something here. I'm going to say it again. Always going to keep saying this. Whatever it took to have you make that breakthrough was exactly what was necessary. Right? Like that's how far, like don't hold fast. Don't like move into that space of regret. Remember, like that's all of that energy having made helped you reach that summit of understanding. It's like you had to pile it all up on itself, and now you can reach that thing that you couldn't reach before. So I want you to make sure that you're holding it not from a state of regretting the past, but feel the gratitude, the amplification in having either survived that journey thus far to be able to recognize that within the self, or identifying and holding, grace for any of those places that you would have done better in the past, because those have informed and helped shape you being able to do better in the present. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. When you book a reading on my website, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Also, please keep in mind that I will never reach out to you for readings. The only place that you can book a reading with me is on my website. I'd also like to notify you guys of some new things that are happening right now. First things first, we are doing a special contest giveaway. I am giving away a free reading. If you would like to become a part of that contest, all you need to do to enter is fill out a brief 2-minute survey. We are looking about doing some tarot lessons in some very fun destinations. I would love your insight on where we should go. It takes about 2 minutes. You can find that link in my bio. I would really appreciate it if you guys could fill out that survey, and I hope you guys win that giveaway. Also, we are starting our classes. Due to a lot of demand, I'm now offering classes. We are beginning those classes on April 17th. It is going to be a class program that moves through all of the cards of the tarot. We are starting with the Fool. The classes are built to be able to be useful to both new tarot readers and seasoned readers. We're going into a deep in-depth dive of each of the cards. That is going to be for the paid subscribers to my Substack. If you'd like to become a part of the class, you can subscribe over on graystrega.substack.com. Your subscription will grant you access to the classes. They will also give you access to the free class and all of the recordings of the classes as we build the curriculum. You'll also have access to to a private chat where you can ask me any questions that you have in relation to tarot and your own journey. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, your subscription will also include a free 1-hour mentor consultation with me where we can go over where you are on your tarot journey, and I can help you build some of that coursework to help you on your way. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.